everyone, I'm Valerie Lim from Charged Up. Welcome back again to our interview series. Today we have with us Adrian Harris on Cybersense Solutions.
Hi, I'm Adrian Harris. Basically, I'm the regional managing director for the organization. We have presence in Singapore, obviously, which is our HQ, Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines. So what we do, or I do, it's to work with the sales and the delivery team to plan out our strategies, to implement to the market, and to give our customers business-driven outcomes.
Adrian, so as you know, Singapore's EV push covers everything from vehicles, the fleets, charging, and even the grid. And from cybersecurity lens, what do you think is being underestimated today? And where are the biggest opportunities to stay ahead of it?
Well, that's a interesting question because it covers many different domains and factors. One biggest gap I see is that though globally there are standards for coming from EU, from China, but there is no contextualization to the Singapore market where we have multiple brands, different vendors, different stakeholders, even government agencies itself, from the grid, from the telecommunication side, and from the mobility side. So that poses a very big challenge. And even if we take the global stage of the standards, R155, 156, and what have you not, some are good at a process control standpoint, some are good in a management standpoint. But how do we take the best of it and able to adapt to our unique environment in Singapore? I think that will be a very big challenge, especially we have to have the government bodies working together as a committee coming from be it energy, be it mobility, be it telecommunications and cybersecurity with CSA at a single table at a single point of time to share the ideas of how do we adapt it into Singapore and to see what gaps currently we have in terms of infrastructure, in terms of monitoring, how we're going to do it, and understanding the global threat landscape that the threat actors are posing into EVs, which are part of CPS.
I see. And EVs are increasingly software defined, fractional IT and OT. So, how do you think are the current cybersecurity standards keeping up? And what should we be doing across the different vehicle life cycles?
Well, if we look at the vehicle life cycle from a software application perspective, yeah, we know that vehicles, in short, it's a laptop with wheels. That's what I like to call it, yeah. And we really have to take the seriousness from a software approach, from let's say a prompt injection, I would say a code to web mentality that we need to look at the whole entire supply chain in the vehicle from a software perspective, the tooling perspective, to the actual component perspective, and how you integrate it to the infrastructure, to the network, and what is the conduits of access into the car. Because the car basically now it's a smart computer, right? You have your updates. You can have your battery management system, which gives you user behavior, your PII information. Because when you buy a vehicle, you register for a vehicle, your ownership, your details are there, yeah, tied to the vehicle. So all these are part and parcel of the connection to the real world. And the realistic ones, if you talk about more visual that we can see, will be the charging points to the grid. Something we do not see is the data that is being transacted to the suppliers, the visibility of the data, what they can see, what is protected, and what we need to protect. And moving forward, as we know, automation is it's innovative, it's improving. Yeah, there's AI coming in. There's more attack surfaces. Like recently, Honda and Mercedes came out with a remote TPU, tire pressure, TPM, a tire pressure monitoring system that is transmitting over wireless that includes data of GPS location as well. So we know that the attack surfaces are actually growing leaps and bounds, and we really need to
Mm.
contain it and put it and also keep up with the standards or the innovation that's happening in the market. With this, then we have the baselines of what could be the possible vectors, surfaces that we need to protect.
I see. And zooming to charging, so Singapore has just announced the latest SS722 standard, and there are stronger cybersecurity requirements. So, in your point of view, what are the biggest gaps in implementation today, and how can operators actually move beyond just compliance?
Well, that's a interesting question on charging itself. From what I understand, chargers that are installed before 2022 are still with legacy crypto. Cryptography is pretty legacy system, and we know that the chargers in Singapore are operated by multiple parties. And with, let's say, example, one party being compromised is literally flat. That means whatever or whoever's using that party of chargers is compromised. So there are some of the problems we need to understand. And with legacy cryptography, harvest now, decrypt later becomes a very impending threat, which people would say, hey, I can put quantum encryptors in there, but who's going to bear the cost? So we also have to be very holistic in understanding what are the threats, what is contextualized, how do we need to protect, but still looking at the cost benefit of it, at the ROI benefit, because we also do not want that a car owner suddenly is burdened with, I need to have EPP system, I need to have network protection, I also need identity protection, I also need a quantum encryptor. How much cost is going to pass down to the drivers? We need to balance this as a business outcome, not only in terms of security, but as a business outcome.
Yeah, definitely. So you were at our last Charge Up EV conference at Expo last year, and I believe you met with a lot of industry stakeholders. What stuff with you from those, and what are you looking forward to at this year's event?
Getting to know more people, to understand the market better, to thought share with the leaders, the industry, and what can we do to make ourselves more resilient? How do we make our business continue should there have a breach? Because truth be told, breaches happen. We can protect as much as we want, but let's be realistic. There's bound to be a breach one day, somehow. But what's the business continuity plan? How do we ensure resiliency? How do we ensure safety for the people using EVs? I think that's critical to have this thought sharing session with people in the industry, the leaders, and the executors.
Yeah, definitely. We look forward to having that discussion at the event this July. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thanks, Adrian.
Thank you.
Yeah.